Peace and love, beautiful people, and thank you for tuning into the Holistic Hot Girl podcast. My name is Kaya, the Holistic Hot Girl, and I'm here trying to change the world one heart at a time. Let's talk about them feeds. Them Instagram feeds, them Facebook feeds, TikTok, Twitter, MySpace, if that's what you're still getting on. We're talking about it today. I just had to have a moment of silence for social media because we could have a conversation about social media all day long. It's a great thing. It's a great tool. It's a great resource. But let's not let it run our life. What I have been finding is the people. The people are feeling some type of way because they feel like they should be further in life. They feel like they should have a car like little Johnny and a house like Annie Mae and a job like whomever. They should have a degree from college. They should have these shoes, taking trip, whatever it is. The spirit of competition and comparison is not the way to go. That is the nicest way that I can say it. It's not the way to go. It's extremely important to recognize that when you are engaging on social media, and engaging can be as simple as just scrolling. When you are engaging, that is an exchange of energy. You are putting in energy. You are subconsciously categorizing and absorbing things, sometimes without your consent, through these platforms, these social media outlets. I think that it's a great thing. Do not get me wrong. When I have this conversation with certain people, they're like, oh, well, why do you just hate social media so much? I don't hate it. I do think it can be misused. I do think that it can be abused. Before getting on social media and being active, I would challenge people to know what they want out of life and align everything in their life around exactly what they want out of life. If that's what they want to be, where they want to go, what opportunities that they want to introduce themselves to, you have to align your entire life around it. But specifically as it pertains to social media, before you even get on, you have to know you have to know what you want out of life before you can even take this advice. So goals, aspirations, accomplishments you want to make, anything in that ballpark needs to be established and set in stone. And that's not to say that it can't change. It's allowed to change, but it needs to be established officially. So with that being said, what I like to do is use social media as, of course, a way to connect with people who I know and love, or just people who I just want to stay connected with for networking opportunities. But outside of that, on a less entertaining side, I like to use Instagram as a vision board, if you will. I follow things that align with my plans for my life, my future goals. I follow a lot of health people, people who go to the gym often. I should go to the gym more. I've gone to the gym more this year than I ever have in my life, though. So I'm really proud of myself for that. I'm also transitioning into plant-based lifestyle. I follow a lot of vegan chefs. I follow a lot of, vegan food content creators. I know that I want to own a nice home one day that might require maybe DIY projects, maybe, but it's still something that I can pour into myself that is positive. I like gardening. I like planting things. I follow a lot of farmers. I follow a lot of plant pages that just give you information. Social media should be used as a resource of information, even if it's, in the same breath used for networking purposes, the purpose of staying connected with people. It should be a resource of knowledge. There is infinite knowledge on social media, especially TikTok. I hear so many people talk about recipes they've gotten from TikTok, exercises, advice, and I think that's an amazing thing. But you don't want, again, that spirit, that energy of competition, that energy of comparison. That is a dark and ugly road to go down. We are all individual people and so different. You can have so much in common with the next person. You could have had so many similar experiences to them, but they are not you. They are not you and you are not them. So it's so important to completely just annihilate that energy. You don't even want that energy. You don't even want that. But another thing that's really important about social media is that everything that everybody is showing you is not their life 100% of the time. Most likely, honestly, that person is only showing the good parts of their life. And I'm guilty of that. I mean, who wants to get on social media talking about, some people do. I'm sorry, I went back really quickly. But, talking about how they deal with severe anxiety or depression or how they're just having a tough day. And some people do, and that is fine as well. But we'll talk more about that in another episode. Everybody is not these people that you idolize. Let me rephrase that. These people that we, idolize so much, look up to, want to be like, are comparing our lives to, 9 times out of 10, that person is not showing all aspects of their lives, and they're getting the right shot, the right angle, knowing how to differentiate, the spirit of discernment to say, okay, this could be real and this could be fake, or just not giving it even that much energy at all, because everything that glitters is not gold. My dad always told me that. And don't let your eyes fool you. Just because someone looks like they're living fat, living large and in charge on social media, that does not mean that is their reality. That person could literally be struggling, and you never know. You never know. But also, that is why it is equally as important to filter and align your social media feeds as it is to take breaks. Even if you are, even if you are being intentional with what is on your feed, even if you are being intentional with who you follow and things, and like have really aligned your page, is still just as important to take breaks. Why is it important to take breaks, you might ask? Because that is still an energy exchange. And the reality is we should be taking breaks from everything. A proper cleanse of everything is healthy to get back to yourself. It's important to spend time with yourself, spend time alone, in nature, outside, journaling, meditating, praying, whatever that looks like for you, but intentional time, extensive amounts of time. And I don't want to hear what anybody has to say about not having time for this. We make time for exactly what we want to make time for. And the extra 15 minutes that you use finishing up a show or scrolling, the 15 minutes to 30 minutes that 30 minutes to an hour that you use to scroll, you could be using to really be getting back to you and your goals. And that is why I started this episode with talking about exactly what you want out of life, because that's what you need to be thinking about. That's what needs to be on your mind 100% of the time. That's what you got to be thinking about. But it's so important to make sure that everything in your life is aligned with those goals, those aspirations, the things that you write down, because let me tell you, manifestation is real. And if you can think it, you can do it, you can manifest it. Don't be fooled by social media, y'all. I mean, it's, I'm not hating on anyone. People could really be living large and in charge and post all of that, but that should be inspiration to you to move forward, not an opportunity for you to use to beat yourself up and to try to identify shortcomings in your life. Just because someone's life is different than yours does not make yours better or worse. It's time to start really focusing on being intentional and having discipline when it comes to social media, using it as something that can help you. And if you don't feel like it's helping you, if every time you get on your phone, it's draining you, it saddens you, it makes you uncomfortable, it might be time for a cleanse. Because with that energy exchange, like I said, you don't know, but you're taking on the energy of every single post that you look at. Even if you don't read the complete thing, you take that on. And in doing so, with not taking a proper cleanse or going back to yourself, re-establishing things and reminding yourself of things that you want out of life, your mind can become very clouded and cluttered. I talked about this in my very first episode. It is so important to be mindful of what you allow into your mind. And again, inevitably, there are going to be some things that just slip through the cracks that you did not necessarily want to know, want to experience, want to encounter. But that is why it is so important to take those breaks, to know that you're thinking for you and not thinking for your followers, not thinking for your feed, because it's easy to say, okay, for perfect example, when political posts come on your feed on Instagram, you read it and you're like, oh, that sounds good. I agree. Without doing any research, because you trust this person, you trust that they've done their research, they know what they're talking about. And then you go about your life repeating what you've heard someone on Instagram say. I only have Instagram. Don't talk about me. I don't have Twitter or TikTok. I have a TikTok page, but I don't get on there. But anyways, you take that and run with it. And even if you do the research on it and you still agree with them, you still really didn't give yourself an opportunity to think about it to the capacity of your own values, your own beliefs. It's time. It's time to take breaks. And just as you have healthy relationships with people, you need to have healthy relationships with social media, because that is a relationship. The relationship that you have with social media can be destructive. It can be toxic, just as it can be healthy, and it can be motivating and uplifting. It's time. I can't stress enough that it is time, because there's going to be a drawn line in the sand and everybody's going to be able to see it, and you're going to have to choose. Now is the time to choose what you want to do. That's all I have for today on social media. I cannot say that this is the last conversation that we'll be having about this, because it's something very important to me and it's taking over the world. But Thanks again for tuning in to the Holistic Hot Girl podcast. I love you, you love you, and peace and love.